Hello everyone and welcome to a second Facebook Live for this week. Tonight I'm sharing with you the September free class. Just quickly before we get started, mini catalogue, card buffet launch party, two options to choose from. Friday the 27th of September at 7:30 or Saturday the 28th at 1:30 p.m. Registration for this does close in a few days' time. Okay, I've got some other reminders. I'll do those after. Okay, so for the free class, to earn this free class, you simply need to place an order of $50 or more in the previous month. So, for example, if you've placed an order of $50 or more so far this month, you will receive the kits or the two card kits for next month's free class. So, with the two cards for tonight, we are using the papers that are called Meandering Meadows. Yes, just wanted to make sure I actually got the name of it right. So the Meandering Meadows Designer Series paper, you don't have to do much to it to create really beautiful cards. It is a part of the online exclusives, so you can view these online, and you can either order online yourself, or I'm happy to place that order for you. But these are really beautiful papers, and they do take all of the hard work out of creating your cards. So one side of all of these different designs have just some beautiful scenery. Okay, and I have seen some videos with how they create these, and the artists at Stampin' Up have actually painted and created these for us. So they've been on canvases, and then they have ended up on our paper. Hi Pam, thank you for joining us. Okay, so lots of different colours in here. So some of the colours, there's balmy blue, blueberry bushel, cherry cobbler, crushed curry, lemon lime twist, melon mumbo, night of navy, orchid oasis, which is a retired colour, but we still do have some pretty colours that you can use in place. Pecan pie, petal pink, pumpkin pie, and shaded spruce. So as you can see in this one, you can see the beautiful yellows and the pinks and the greens and blues. So they are just beautiful papers. Hi Mandy, thank you for joining us. So that is the one side. Let me flip over and show. So there's about 12 different designs. The other side is a little bit more versatile in that you can use this side for anything. I don't think I've actually used this side of this paper very often, because when you've got the beautiful paper on the other side, why wouldn't you want to use that paper? Okay, so I'm just going to keep going through. Some of these are really pretty. Hi Mel, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Okay, so this one, you're lucky. Both sides, you get pretty patterns. So some of them look like clouds, and again, that's the last one. So you do get 4 each of those. So it's a packet of 12 by 12s, which is total 48 sheets. So you've got lots and lots of cards to make using that. So again, that is Meandering Meadows. All right, so let's go with the first card. So this is the first one. Hi Tanya, thank you for watching. So again, as I mentioned, we are using Meandering Meadows papers on both of the projects. The stamps that I've chosen is one that I use a fair bit, which is Simply Said. $30 for this stamp set, great value. It's photopolymer, it covers all of your basics that you need. The other two things I'm including for tonight, Highland Heather ink pad, which is the purple, and Balmy Blue, which is a blue, of course. Okay, so that's what we're using. I've added in a couple of extra products with this one. For those who have the kits, as you know, all the die cutting and embossing will be done for you ahead of time. The only thing that I don't do is the stamps. And of course, we've got some really cute little brushed gold butterflies. So, oops. The dice that I'm using for this card is Irresistible Blooms. Again, this is an online exclusive. So let me just share with you. Okay, so this is the big die that I used to cut the circle out, but it doesn't cut around the whole edge. It just cuts out all that middle section. So there's some leaves. There is a stamp set that this coordinates with, so there are some dies to cut out the stamped flowers and leaves, plus there's the leaf dies. which we've used just here. This little circle comes from the Stylish Shapes die set, which I haven't brought over here, but I think everyone has seen those ones before. So I thought it was more important just to bring over this one set. And let me move that aside before I spill it everywhere. Okay, so you may have slightly different paper to what's used in this sample. Let me just make sure that I've got everything. So you will have in your kits a half sheet of A4, which is the white. You'll have 2 pieces of Highland Heather, which measure 10 centimeters by 14.4. You will have 2 pieces of white, which measure 13.9 by 9.5. One, you'll have your die cut done ahead of time. You may need to just get your piercing tool, and if there's any of these little pieces of confetti that you just need to poke through, just to make sure that that is all clear. Let me hold it up against this so you can see all of those cutouts have been poked through. Okay, so you'll also have a piece of the Designer Series paper. It might be this one, it might be the one that I've used on the sample, or it might be something different. You'll have your circle, plus you'll have 3 die cut leaves, and these are in Granny Apple Green. This has got a fair few different things in it. Plus you'll have your really pretty gold butterflies. Okay, so let's get started. Now, of course, as always, if you don't have the stamp set or the ink pads I'm using, choose something from your collection. So I'm going to start by folding my card base in half. Now, for those who have your kits, if you do get a little bit behind, don't panic. I'm going to, as I always do, I will share the replay straight away, so then you can pause and rewatch as you needed to. Okay, so with this piece here, I'm going to be sticking my piece of Designer Series paper just at the back. Now, before you stick it, just check to make sure. It may need just a tiny little bit trimmed off one edge, which I'm going to trim just a little bit off, just so I don't get any overhang. And I'm trimming just a couple of mils off. Okay. So, very simply, I'm going to stick this onto this. So I'm going to use just a little bit of double-sided tape across the top and the bottom. And I'm actually going to be using, you've all seen me use this thin tape before. Now, this isn't a Stampin' Up! Product, but you can get this at places like Spotlight and some of those discount stores as well. So just a strip of that across the top and the bottom. Peel off the paper. And then I'm going to stick this over the top. Around about there. You can, of course, use your little bit of Tombow, again, just across the top and the bottom of your Designer Series paper. Okay, simple so far. Right, my next bit that I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this piece onto the piece of Highland Heather. And I didn't even stick this on very straight, so I'm trimming up a little bit of the edge of mine as well. No one's ever going to know that that was stuck on crooked. So those two I'm going to stick together, and I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal. Of course, as I always say to you, please use whatever adhesive you would normally use. And as you can see, I have stuck that on crooked, but you're not going to see it, so it really doesn't matter. So this I'm centering just over the top. Around about there will do. Okay, I'm just going to pop that aside because we do have just a little bit of stamping to do. Next, you're going to need your die cut circle. You're going to need Highland Heather. If you don't have this purple, with the paper you have in front of you, there is green, there's blue, there's yellows, orange, there's even pinks in there. So choose a colour that's going to suit, or pick up some of these colours in your paper. Okay, so I need my stamp set as well. And as I mentioned, I am using Simply Said. And for this one, I'm using Just a Note because it does fit really, really nicely in the circle. I'm just going to grab a block. Just do a quick test over on the side. That'll work. Now, if you're using a glass mat, just remember, if you're using ink and you're stamping on your glass mat, just a tissue, piece of paper towel, just to wipe off that excess ink so it doesn't end up on what you're, a different piece of cardstock that you're working on. So I've got my Just a Note, and that's the only stamp that we have for this card. Okay, so my next job is to grab my leaves and stick these on. So these are die cuts from the same set of dies that I did for this piece. So I am going to use, I think, oh, actually I'm going to stick this on first. So I'm going to stick this on with some dimensionals, and it's going to go off to the side. When I put my dimensionals on, I'm going to have them in the middle, so that way then the bottom part of my leaves is going to slide in underneath really neatly. Okay, I am using some minis, so I'm going to use probably just 3 pieces. As you can see, let me hold this up. I have put those more in the middle so that my leaves can slide in around those. I had to stop and think about this card. It was a little while ago that I made it, so sometimes I need to look at something for a moment just to figure out what I did. Okay, and that is going to go onto your card front around about there. With my leaves, I'm going to use a little bit of Tombow. If you like, you can use a glue dot or something else, or a little bit of your double-sided tape if you would like to. So I'm going to just put, when I get it going, oops, there we go, just a few little drops of Tombow. I'm not sure, there we go, the camera's actually focusing on that. So I'm using that, and I'm going to put each of these leaves and slide those in there. So that's going to go about there. And honestly, where these land, it's going to work okay. I've got my second leaf, which is the biggest one. Again, just some little drops of Tombow. And I'm going to slide that one in under there. And just, if you need to with the Tombow, just hold your finger on it just for a few moments, just so that that adhesive can bond with the piece of cardstock. And finally, I've got the last one. So again, a couple of drops of Tombow. And that is going to go down the bottom around about there. Okay, getting to the end of this one. This is actually quite an easy card to do, as long as, of course, you've got something that you can do your cutout. You could just do an ordinary cutout of a circle and it's going to look really fabulous as well. So next I'm going to put this onto the card front using some dimensionals. Hi Jenny, thanks for watching. Okay, so here we go, some dimensionals. Again, I'm using minis, use your standards, and don't forget, of course, all that bit of dimensional around the outside. As I've done there, make sure you cut it up, because you don't want to be throwing any of your product away. All right. And stabbing into the back of the dimensionals, with your pick tool, this is the take your pick tool, is the easiest way to pick up all of those little bits of paper off the dimensionals. And it does kind of contain them a little bit because they sort of stick together. However, I still have them all over my floor and partway through the house as well. Okay, so there is that. And just to finish off the front, you'll have your 3 little butterflies. And I'm using the putty end of the take your pick tool. And I'm going to slide up each of those butterflies. And I'm going to stick those onto the card front. Oops. Don't want it to stick there. There we go. Now I think my putty is just getting a little bit dry, which is why that didn't stick very well. So let me show you how you solve that problem. So I'm just going to pick off that bit of dry putty and a little twist, and then you get the new putty starting to show through. Okay, and then got one more butterfly to put on. Again, it's just sliding off and onto the card front. So there you can see the new putty that's coming through. I hope that's showing up okay, that you can see that. Now, the other really great thing with the take your pick tool, the putty end, when it runs out, or when you do get a refill when you purchase the tool, you can purchase the putty tips on their own. So you don't have to worry too much about whether the tool is going to be useless after your putty runs out. It's going to be perfectly good because you just replace your putty tip. Okay, that's the front done. Hi Joe, thanks for joining us. And for the inside, I'm going to be sticking these 2 together using Stampin' Seal. Now, each time I use this, I know that I do say to you a couple of things to remember when using Stampin' Seal: a light hand, so it doesn't need too much pressure. And remember that little tick just to break the stream of adhesive. So white goes onto the Highland Heather. And again, some Stampin' Seal, light hand, little tick at the end, and this goes into the inside. Now, with the sentiment that I've chosen for this, which is the Just a Note, before I actually give this card to anybody, I'm probably going to finish it off on the inside with another sentiment, whether it's a happy birthday or perhaps a get well soon, just depending on what the occasion is for, because this is one of those cards that you can use for pretty much anything. So that is the first one. And as you can see, just with the different slightly different papers, it does look ever so slightly different. Okay, so that is card number 1. So let's move on to card number 2. Again, using the same stamp set, which is the Simply Said stamp set. For this one, I am using Balmy Blue ink. And this is the next one that I'm using. And I have also used an embossing folder for this one, which is called So Swirly. Let me see if I can get this to show up a little better. Maybe not, we'll try. Let me just pop this in here. I don't know if that makes it any easier to see. I'm not sure, it's hard to tell. But this has got a really beautiful swirly pattern on it. Maybe I'll show you this piece. Maybe this piece will work. I think you might be able to see that. So it's a really nice swirly pattern. It's very random. And this one is the bigger size. So this is half a sheet of A4. So this is A5 size. This one, I did have all the information written down, but where'd I put my little sticky note? There it is there. So this can be found in the annual catalogue on page 129, and this embossing folder costs $18.50. So it is a really good one. And with this, when I was doing the embossing in preparation for the class, you can actually fit 2 card fronts in there. So that's a really great thing you can do. You can actually emboss an extra card front ahead of time because you can do 2 at once. Now, this is a standard size embossing folder, not our 3Ds. So you'll just need to double check on your Stampin' Cup machine what sandwich to use. So that is so swirly. Okay, pop that aside. So I think I showed you the card. So that is the card. Let me show you the products you'll have. You'll have your half sheet of A4. This is Blueberry Bushel. So you'll have 2 of these and they both measure 10 centimeters by 14.4. You'll have 2 pieces of white, which measure 9.5 by 13.9. One will be embossed ahead of time. You will have a piece of Balmy Blue. This measures 5 centimeters by about 14. And then you've got your 4.5 centimeter strip, which will be the full length of this. So this is just over or about 15 centimeters. That way then you can choose which part you would like to see a little bit more, and then just trim it up. You'll have one of the die cuts from Spotlight and Nature, which I haven't brought out with me either. You'll have some Balmy Blue thread, baker's twine, and also you're going to have some little pearls, and these ones are from the, can't think of the name of these ones. There's 3 different colors in it. I can't think of the name, but they're really pretty. You might have green tones, you might have pretty peacock. There was a couple of different colors in these pearls, but I just can't remember the name of it. Okay, so let's get started with this one. And of course, folding your card base in half. So those who are playing along, I hope I'm not going too fast, and I hope you're keeping up. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do on my piece of embossed white, I am going to stick my Balmy Blue on first, and I am using Stampin' Seal to stick this piece on. So as I mentioned, this measures 5 centimeters by 13.9. So that's going to go on first. Hopefully kind of sort of straight, because that would be nice today. And I'm just going to trim up. There's a tiny little bit there at the top to trim up. Now the reason I'm sticking the Balmy Blue on first and then the piece of Designer Series paper, if you need to trim the ends, if you're going through multiple layers, it can get a bit thick to cut through. And so I've got my piece of Designer Series paper, and I just want a little bit more of the sky, so I'm going to stick that towards the top and the rest straight down, and trim up that little bit from there. Pretty simple so far. Let's continue working on this piece, and I'm going to be using my Stampin' Seal to stick these 2 pieces together. Okay, again, use whatever adhesive you normally use. You can use your liquid glue, you can use double-sided tape. Whatever you have on your table is going to do the job. Okay, that is that piece done. I'm just going to pop that one just there for the time being. Next, you're going to need your circle and the Balmy Blue ink pad. And I'm also going to need birthday wishes for this one. So you have a slightly bigger sentiment in this one, being a slightly bigger circle. Okay. And of course you can use any sentiment you like on these. So ink it up and roughly in the center, and you don't have to worry too much about stamping straight because you just turn the circle to make it sit straight. So that is again the only stamp that you're going to need for this card. Just check as well to make sure that all these little pieces of confetti are poked out of the decoration around that circle. Before I stick this on with dimensionals, I am going to be tying with my piece of Balmy Blue Baker's twine a bow, and it is going to be a fairly big bow. So it's going to make it a little bit loose, and I am going to stick this behind my circle so that I can see that bit of twine. Mel, for the embossed cardstock, you can use whichever side you like the look of the best. Okay, so I'm going to grab a glue dot. So yeah, so technically there's no, same as our cardstock, there's no right or wrong side to our cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of my glue dots and I'm going to stick that on the back and then put my bow over the top, which gives you that sort of look. Okay, and you can adjust it slightly as you need to. All right, so next some dimensionals behind my sentiment. And they're here somewhere, there they are. And you can put these a little bit further towards the outside because we don't have any elements to actually stick underneath. Okay. And again, I'm using the Take Your Pick tool to stab into those and get the little papers up. And this is going to go onto the card front when I get the little bits up, and it's going to go around about there. Okay, the final thing I'm going to do while I still have the Take Your Pick tool out is, of course, using the putty end again. Now this one you'll see they're more sort of the pretty peacock colour. This is a little bit more green, which is going to work really nicely as well because we do have greens in the paper. So sliding off each of these. So one next to the sentiment, and I've got the other two around about there. All right, so to finish the card off, I just need to do the inside and stick this onto the outside, and I am going to pop some dimensionals behind this one as well, only because I like lots of layers of dimensionals. Yeah, it does make them a little bit thicker cards, so if you are posting them, you may want to eliminate one of the layers of dimensionals. I just like lots of dimensionals. Oh, thank you, Pam. I'm glad that you like these cards. Again, they are, which I always try to share on Facebook Lives and a little bit in classes too, cards that you can make again and again. Or you can make multiples of them if you have the same paper. You can choose any paper you like for these, and it is going to work really nicely. But these papers are particularly beautiful. So now, so they are really fabulous for cards, and pretty much out of one sheet of 6x6, you will get 2 card fronts. So you might get more of a fuller card front, plus you'll get a strip that you can use as well. Yeah, they're beautiful papers, Mandy. They're well worth having, and as I mentioned, you will get about 2 card fronts out of them. So you'd be looking at one that has a strip similar to this, and then the second card, you'd get the piece for that entire front there out of it as well. So you can, the papers do stretch really quite far, and you could sit and make a whole bunch of these leading into Christmas. People love handmade cards. You could give these as an actual gift, make a little box for it as well, or into a cellophane bag and a ribbon and a nice tag. People are going to love it. Okay, so for the inside to finish up, I'm going to use Stamp and Seal to stick my piece of 9.5 centimetre by 13.9 centimetres onto the piece of blueberry bushel. I think I'm doing okay tonight. I have remembered most of the colours because sometimes some of these colours I've been using for years and I just sometimes can't remember what they are. Okay, and then this is going into the inside of the card. And again, if you want to, depending on the sentiment you've stamped on the front, you can stamp something else on the inside as well. The darker blue is blueberry bushel. So that is the dark blue on this card. The light one is balmy blue. Okay, so that is the 2 cards. Let me just move that one away for the free class. So they are pretty cards. They're simple. If you don't quite have all of the same products, you can certainly, as I mentioned, you can use your circle dies or whatever you do have at home, or you can cut out that window using a pair of scissors or something like that. Hi Shirley, thank you. I'm glad you like these cards. So just a couple more reminders I've got for you just before I say goodbye to everyone. Mini catalogue, Card Buffet launch, all the information is on my page. I do have coming up a scrapbook class using a brand new kit that Stampin' Up has, which is called Reindeer Memories. For this class, you will make 3 double layouts in the afternoon. You don't have to bring any photos with you. You will need to bring a paper trimmer, your basic craft tools, adhesives. Again, no need to bring photos with you. Registration does close on the 28th of September. The class is on the 19th of October. I do need to order the kits and allow a little bit of extra time to get them in case there's a delay. Full payment will be required at the time of registration. Cost of the class is $75. Please keep in mind that that is 3 double layouts. And the other one I've got starting next month is monthly card class. I have shared this a couple of times now and you will have seen that also with the newsletter. The cards are going to be each month a bit more than what you see here. Every month there is going to be a fun fold card. You'll see that there's more layers, there's more products being used. So, and a little bit more involved than what you've got here. Again, you're not going to have to purchase any special products to complete these classes. You'll be able to use your sentiment stamp sets that you already have and the inks you already have. So there won't be any requirement for the monthly card class to purchase any extra products. Okay, so this class does come to you. It is solely at home. You will receive with the class the PDF of a written tutorial, plus you'll have the link for a YouTube video as well. There's a couple of options with subscription. You can subscribe for 3 months at a time, which will cost you $20 per month plus postage, or you can go 1 month at a time, which will cost you $22 plus postage, or of course local pickup is available. A lot more information will come out about this next month, but I want to share this with you because I'm really excited about offering this class. And again, there is no extra purchase needed for this class. Okay, that's what I got for you. So here are the cards again for the tonight's free class. So I did promise to be back. I think I might be back tomorrow, maybe morning, afternoon. I'm going to share with you how to make this tomorrow. So I hope you'll join me. It'll probably be in the evening again, probably the same time, around 8 o'clock. And it's probably only going to take about 10 minutes to show you how to make this. But everyone this year are getting bows on their presents, and it's not just used for Christmas. You can use it for birthdays and things as well. So I'm going to share that with you tomorrow night. So until then, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Mandy, Shirley, Mel, Jenny. I think Joe was on as well, a couple of others. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Have a good night. Bye.